My name is Jenny Barrage, and I have been a contributor to the gaming community for a while now. Everything from being a community manager for a social gaming application to having my own YouTube series focused on academic-based gaming content. I have always been passionate about games, and I've always wanted to inspire others to see gamers and the games industry in a better light. Why are video games important to you? Now, most of us would probably have trouble answering this question. Not because we wouldn't have an answer, but because it's hard to describe the importance of something that has given us so much in our lives. Despite our different ideologies, lifestyles, opinions, we're all gamers, and we've all had positive experiences with games.
I'm doing video games, so it's not exactly a fandom. I'm not a fan of video games. I actually had to learn a lot about video games in the process of making this.
But remember that it's both possible, and even necessary, to simultaneously enjoy media while also being critical of its more problematic or pernicious aspects.
Let's hear that one again.
While also being critical of its more problematic or pernicious aspects.
I'm doing video games, so it's not exactly a fandom. I'm not a fan of video games. I actually had to learn a lot about video games in the process of making this.
This advertising strategy of using women and representations of women as decorative elements to try and sell games to boys and men soon became the norm for the burgeoning industry. In ad after ad throughout the 80s and 90s, we see women placed on display alongside arcade games, conflating the two and presenting them both as toys to be played with.
Anita, you are being a little disingenuous here. You said you were going to talk about video games, not the marketing of video games. This is the marketing of video games. And to sell games to the public has long been applied that they use sex. Yes, they use sex in the games. They use sex to sell the games. It's a long practice of selling stuff. They use sex. They use sex to sell pretty much anything. And this is not really a criticism of video games at all. So you said you were going to show the pernicious side of video games. I don't see how showing models next to video games is any way a criticism of video games in themselves. And to imply that you play with the models is ridiculous. Oh, who's this pretty lady? She's pretty. I wonder if she comes with the computer. I hope she does, because we're going to conflate them. The computer comes with the girl. Oh boy. Versatile, dependable, compatible. Well, she looks compatible to me. I wonder how I can get her. Ooh, what is this? 1-on-2 action? Oh, you're right, Anita. These models come with this guy, and they all come with the computer. Ooh, she's sexy. A little blurry there, but I'll take her. Ooh, wow. One of her own. Ooh, and who's this? How's your love life? Wow. Is she coming on to me? I think she's coming on to me. Because with the computer comes the girl. Of course.
Placed on display alongside arcade games, conflating the two and presenting them both as toys to be played with.
Anita is so right. So right. Look at these girls. They're placed against these cars. Yes, they're so pretty. I want to buy a car and get that girl. They're conflated. See the girl, see the car. They come together. They're just playthings. They're just playthings to be played with. Anita, you have completely gone off topic onto this tangent of advertising that has nothing to do with video games. So you use sex to sell arcade games because arcade games lacked all the great things that video games have today. They had poor graphics and simple sounds and not that impressive music. Character development was nil, and the story wasn't there or could be summed up in a few seconds. The fact remains that ad agencies have used sex to sell everything from movie tickets to chocolate bars. So I imagine it explains a lot about you that you would bring up this side topic to talk about video games when it has no relationship about how they are programmed or played. This would be like discussing the photo layout of a Playboy magazine when you said you were going to explain the articles. It is not pernicious. It is the free market. And the way you market something is with advertising. You might not have the body to be a model, and maybe you are jealous, but that is no reason to hate models or sex workers so much that you want to take their profession away from them. If they want to stand in front of a boat or a snowmobile and use their sexuality to sell it, that is their decision, and your pop culture critic credentials doesn't have the power to remove sex from society. Being a feminist doesn't grant you special powers. If the market wants to use women to advertise perfume, there is nothing you can do about it. You think that Anita has stumbled upon buried treasure with this discovery that sexy models were used to advertise completely asexual gameplay. Chess has more sexuality than these games. Yet, if you turn to the ubiquitous newsstands, the covers of everyday magazines await you, and what do you see but sexy image after sexy image enticing you to pick up one of these publications? There aren't any models in video games. This shows how utterly hopeless her argument is. There aren't any dots to connect.
And holds the distinction of being the very first commercially sold video game ever made. The coin-operated machine allowed players to fly a crude pixelated rocket ship while shooting down pixelated flying saucers. Promotional materials for the game, however, featured a woman standing passively next to the enclosure wearing a see-through nightie with her underwear visible underneath.
Oh my, someone with underwear showing? Where have I seen that? Anita, if I were you, I would stay hidden. Never respond to any criticism, for clearly there is pretty much no argument you have ever made that can withstand 1 minute. Look at these women, Anita. They are all in their underwear. How foolish do you feel now? Models selling product? No big deal. Done and done. Models in their underwear? Done and done. Anita Sarkeesian making any sense? Yet to be seen. The old arcade machines use very basic graphics, and you mentioned yourself that developers put a bow on female characters, and they most likely did this because they couldn't give them cleavage in a shapely body. Putting a bow on a circle, which was Miss Pac-Man, was the best way they could do it. Yet, when some artists anthropomorphize this basic graphic, you have a field day with it. The points you have constructed are without an ounce of sensibility, and you obviously throw fairness out the window. Is it beyond your capacity to make an honest observation without resorting to subterfuge? You literally have to be a fuss budget to find a problem with early day video games, and the graphic you feature with female characters shows you are the worst kind. Miss Pac-Man doesn't have legs. She is a yellow circle with a pie slice missing for a mouth. You find fault with the character, yet you don't say how you would have done it better. Girls wear things in their hair. For someone who wears nail polish, makeup, and big loopy earrings, you don't have a leg to stand on. But then, that is how you make your arguments.
I define the women as background decoration trope in video games as the subset of largely insignificant, non-playable female characters whose sexuality or victimhood is exploited as a way to infuse edgy, gritty, or racy flavoring into game worlds. These sexually objectified female bodies are designed to function as environmental texture, while titillating presumed straight male players.
A non-playable character could arguably be called a sex object, but it would be more honest to say these are sexy characters. If you're going to be classifying all women as sex objects, that is one mighty broad brush. I think there needs to be a consensus, like stating Natalie Portman or Scarlett Johansson are sex objects, because when everyone is a sex object, no one is. But it would seem that you're using the term in a defamatory way, and it is you who are calling them objects, in a subject-object dichotomy. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. You are stating that they are, and they become so. Why don't you say they're sexy characters or computer-generated models that look sexy, which is what they are. These characters are made to look sexy, much like the models that are used to sell motorboats, snowmobiles, cars, perfume, and magazines. So why can't computer models be used to populate a world and make it look interesting in a real gritty way, much like a movie would, where a director would replace characters just like a game designer would replace digital models in a video game? There is no difference. Ironically, programmers and game designers refer to non-playable characters as objects that can be manipulated, much like anything else in the game, such as a rock or a tree.